Just before the outbreak of the Clone War, the fallen Jedi Count Dooku informed Obi-Wan, and through extension the Jedi Order, that the Senate was under the control of a Dark Lord of the Sith named Darth Sidious. Although one would think that this would potentially make Palpatine a prime target in the Jedi search for the identity of Sidious, the Jedi weren't able to make the connection until it was too late. But even though the discovery wasn't made, one has to wonder, given the words of Dooku on Geonosis and the investigations that would be made throughout the Clone Wars, did the Jedi ever come to suspect that Palpatine was Darth Sidious? In this video expose, I will describe whether Palpatine was ever a suspect, and ultimately, why such a connection was rejected by the Jedi. Just prior to the Battle of Coruscant and the end of the war, the Battle of Cato Neimoidia provided the Jedi with an invaluable clue to the true identity of Sidious. During the battle, the Jedi were able to gain possession of Nute Gunray's Mechno-Chair, which he used to communicate with Sidious, and thereby contained intelligence the Jedi and the Republic could utilize to connect Palpatine to Sidious. Using this intelligence, Anakin and Obi-Wan were sent to track a number of leads within the Outer Rim, while Mace led a team to follow up clues upon Coruscant. Importantly, Mace was able to trace the Dark Lord of the Sith to the Works, a common meeting place of Sidious and Dooku, as well as the sub-basement of 500 Republica, the personal residence of Palpatine himself for over a decade. Of course, knowing that the Jedi were closing in on discovering his true identity, Palpatine orchestrated the Battle of Coruscant, wherein the surprise attack on the Republic capital and the capture of the Chancellor ended the missions of both teams. But where exactly did this put Palpatine in the minds of Mace and Yoda, the only two Jedi who knew the true extent of Sidious's political influence following the Battle of Coruscant? And did they ever consider Palpatine himself to be the Dark Lord of the Sith? In short, not only were they unable to make the connection, but they openly rejected the notion that Palpatine was Sidious. Following Anakin and Obi-Wan's rescue of the Chancellor, Mace felt the dark side surround both Anakin and Palpatine, thereby causing him to inform Obi-Wan of the current status of his search for Sidious, and to be wary of Anakin's relationship with Palpatine. Amazingly, Mace told Obi-Wan that the fruits of their investigations in the Outer Rim and on Coruscant pointed to circumstantial evidence, not that Sidious was directly Palpatine himself, but rather that Sidious was part of Palpatine's inner circle. Instead of thinking that the raid to capture the Chancellor was orchestrated by Palpatine, he thought that it was orchestrated by someone close to Palpatine, more akin to an inside job. Although Palpatine wasn't a suspect, Mace believed that Sate Pestage, Palpatine's longtime advisor, and Mas Amedda, the Vice-Chancellor of the Republic, were the most likely suspects in their search for Sidious. Therefore, given their close proximity to Palpatine and the significant influence they could have upon the Chancellor, this would make Dooku's words on Geonosis true regarding the Sith Lord's influence upon the Senate. Demonstrating just how little Mace and the Jedi suspected Palpatine to be Sidious, Mace admitted to Obi-Wan that the Jedi may have to move against Palpatine, not because he was a Sith Lord himself, but because he was under the influence of one, and the Jedi needed to permanently sever that influence. But given that Mace tracked his lead directly to Palpatine's residence, felt the dark side surround Palpatine following his rescue in the Battle of Coruscant, and given his recognition with Obi-Wan that Palpatine was obtaining more and more authority throughout the war, why would he dismiss Palpatine as a suspect? Amazingly, as Mace told Obi-Wan following the rescue of the Chancellor from the Invisible Hand, the only reason Palpatine's not a suspect is because he already rules the galaxy. And with that, the Jedi ultimately failed to ever truly suspect Palpatine to be the Dark Lord of the Sith Darth Sidious until it was too late. So there we have it, why the Jedi failed to suspect that Palpatine was Sidious by the end of the Clone War. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter @SW Reading Club for updates regarding the channel. or support the channel on Patreon for access to exclusive hangouts and book discussions. If not for me... For how could it have been your greatest fear when you completely rejected that fear like a day earlier?